when I married my wife, I'd said this to her actually. The only prenuptial agreement was that I could buy fun cars. I ran into Chris Harris and I said to him, I know you've driven this car. What do you think of this? And when Chris said, you ought to do it. My name's Vernon Cooley. I was born and raised in Salt Lake City, close by here. We're in Park City right now. When I was 3 years old, I used to sit out in front of our house. As soon as I could talk, I started to name cars. And then I started to build a matchbox collection. I just kept them perfect, and I had all different kinds in it. I think I have a gene that, some people have the car gene. Went to high school here, went to college at the University of Utah, and then went away to medical school at Harvard. Then I did my residency at the University of Washington. I lived away for about 10 years. Loved Boston, loved Seattle, but I knew my roots were back here. I come from pioneer ancestry, and my wife comes from pioneer ancestry. We have deep roots here. It's a great place to practice orthopedic surgery, especially if you're a knee surgeon, which is what I am. As a very young age, one of my roommates, who's a good friend of mine now, in high school decided we wanted to sell some cars together. So we set up a little company. We didn't have very much money. We just finished our residency. The first car I ever owned was that 3.0 CS BMW that I had in college that basically a friend's father owned, and I was convinced my parents to help me get that. And then I sold it to pay for my first year of medical school, which made a little bit of money on it. I didn't have cars in Boston. It was not a good place to have cars. And in Seattle, I finally got an old Acura that I could just get from one place to the next that was good. When I came back to Utah, I drove a Honda Civic, drove it for probably a good 5, 6, 7 years. I remember saying to my friend who we bought cars together early on, okay, we got to study harder so we could get a car collection. I just couldn't afford them. Matter of fact, when I married my wife, I'd said this to her actually. The only prenuptial agreement was that I could buy fun cars when I could afford it. And then my friend and I bought our first car together, which was a 996 Turbo. That was where we were hooked. After that, bought a 550 Maranello. Then we went into various buying and selling spree of several Ferraris, Porsches. It's almost more fun in some ways owning cars together. You just get into it. It's like, it's ours, it's not just mine or theirs. And it's a really special thing if you find friends that have the same interests, that are really kind of anal with cars and take great care of things. And it just becomes really bonding. That's kind of something I hope about Fastlane, is that I can develop the same camaraderie with people. Porsches are so durable. The entry level on them is not as steep as, say, Ferraris. You have to outlay a lot of cash to get into Ferraris. And Porsches, a lot of people can buy into the Porsche world and enjoy it and have fun with it. Ferraris make amazing sounds. They have just this amazing smell of the interior with the leather, but they just don't feel as solid as a Porsche. That was back in the days when, in order to buy some of these cars, you had to get on a list. And Ferrari was notorious for this years ago. When I go back to the early Ferrari days, the local dealer here, we got to know really well. He got to know us, and he knew we were good for it, and we take good care of them, and that we would go back and sell them through him. So it becomes a relationship. Now Porsche has kind of become the same way. If you buy certain cars, you get on a special VIP list, and then you can get to buy some of these special cars. When you could buy them, keep them for a while, sell them, then they'd give you the right to buy another one. And we did that for a while, but you definitely get different treatment if you are a prior owner. It takes a while actually to get to a certain level where you really are kind of a VIP customer. And I've had Porsches over the years, but the one move that I didn't do and I regret it, I was on the list and I almost ordered one, was the 98. Originally when the 918 Spider came out, if you were to buy one, you got on a VIP list, and then you were able to have the first rights on any Porsche car for 10 years. That's ending this year. I know several people that, because they did that, they could buy these special cars that no one could get their hands on. I really regret not doing that. I have a 918 now, and that's awesome, but that's a big regret. I'd gone through Porsche, and most dealerships now are actually charging over sticker price. I'm really respectful of Porsche Salt Lake City because they've said they won't charge above sticker. they're going to charge retail. One of the first really fun Porsches we bought was a Carrera GT, and that was super cool. Till this day, it's just an epic experience driving one of those, just very unique sounding, driving, very raw, like a street legal race car. It's a little hard to buy and sell cars when you're with other people. You have to come to a compromise. And then when you sell them, you have to agree to the sales price too, which can sometimes be like, whoa, that's a no-brainer. Another time just like, oh, I want a little more. I don't think we should sell it for that. And so it gets tricky, but we all got along super well. And here's the cool thing is, I mean, we had a corporation set up, but this was all handshake. I mean, these are my best friends. There was nothing other than handshake on all these things. It's been kind of a journey that started in the late 90s. Actually, the first Singer Classic that I bought it with the proceeds from the buy and sale of some other cars. Back then you could do a 1031 where you didn't have to pay tax on the profit. You could 1031 into another car. So I did that for my first Singer, which was really kind of a nice thing. Can't do it anymore, unfortunately. And things I like about cars are naturally aspirated manuals, just like a Carrera GT. And I have some other cars that don't follow that, but definitely my favorite cars are all manual and they're all naturally aspirated. And I like lightweight. I'm really into lightweight. I had a Singer Classic. You have two Singers, so I sold it to buy a Singer DLS, which we have here in the warehouse. And right now I'm sitting in the warehouse in Park City, which is a new development where you can house cars in a really cool environment. You can have dinner and bar and drinking and parties, and it's just a really neat experience. I have a 918 Spyder, which is here, a Singer DLS, a Porsche Dakar 3.8 wide body 964, which is really kind of a cool, unique car. There's only 55 of them made. Well, I've got a Aston Martin Valor coming. I've also got a Singer Turbo Study coming. I just put today the first deposit on a Gordon Murray T33 Spyder. And that really fits kind of what I like. High revving, naturally aspirated, manual transmission. Those are kind of my favorite types of cars. I drive daily, either the Dakar or I have an RS6 Avant. I've driven that a lot over the past few years. I have two Sport Classic Porsches 2023. Then I also have, this is actually one of my favorite cars, is an original 2010 Sport Classic, which they've only made 250. There's only a handful in the US because they were never imported. I have a 911 ST in Sport Classic coming. All my cars almost all of them are for sale with the right price, but that one I think that may die with me. That and the Singers are probably the ones I'm not so keen about selling. Manual, lightweight, raw sounding car. I like it when you can hear the transmission grinding. It sounds very mechanical. Same with that 3.8 RS up there. These are not clean sounding cars. They've got very raw. They've got single mass flywheels. They're high revving. They're not really comfortable. The music that they make from the engine, the transmission, the drive line, I love just hearing it all. I would say probably the most unique was went to the Singer, had their display in Carmel. It was at the Quail. They'd probably only been around for a couple of years, and they maybe had 10 cars they built at that point. And I saw the car there and I just was like, whoa, this is super cool. But they had no history. They were a brand new company. I love the idea of a forward-looking, naturally aspirated manual car, lightweight, built to the nines. And I talked to a bunch of people, and then I read everything online. I looked up every video I possibly could, talked to the Singer guys. And then I was traveling through Heathrow in London. I was on this trip and I ran into Chris Harris. I don't know him, but he was there waiting for a flight. And I said to him, I know you've driven this car, but I said to him, what do you think of the Singer? And when Chris said, you ought to do it, that was kind of my inspiration from the higher power. So I know we were talking about earlier about the 918, and we've got it here in basically the area where we're having the dinner here tonight, which looks super fun. The thing that I like about the 918 is it does have a naturally aspirated engine. I'm not sure I love the electric component of it, but it does help with the performance. Mid-engine, supercar Porsche, really amazing to drive. It is a Porsche, so it's extremely well built. Beautiful car. It's got the Weissach package. I love the lighter look on the car, so white with the black interior. interior. You've also got the acid green, I think is a really nice touch. That was kind of something that was part of the 918 package, trying to introduce that acid green into the interior. And then you also get it on the brake calipers, which is nice. And the Weissach has all the lightweight, which all the carbon. Its V8 engine sounds amazing. It's not as amazing as the Carrera GT, but it's close. Favorite part is just take the top off really fast. It's comfortable. We haven't taken this one on a long drive yet, but she didn't love going in the Carrera GT, but I think she'll be fine in this one. It's not manual, but that's okay. It's not designed to be that, but everything else about it's amazing. It's raw. You hear everything. The engine, it's right behind you in your head, and it just sings when you're really pushing it. The part of the reason they build this car is in Europe, they were going to allow internal combustion engines in the cities. So this car can go 70 miles per hour on electric, and it can go for, I believe, 17 miles. It's super fast. I mean, it's like neck snapping fast on acceleration. Basically, these are two of the other cars I talked about. That's a Carrera RS, 1993, 3.8 wide body, and it's just one of 55. Really rare, really raw, lightweight, sounds raw, drives amazing, totally fits the bill. Same with the Singer DLS. This one has my favorite color, though, which is the Sport Classic Gray. That's built on a 1990 body frame and been rebuilt by Singer vehicle. Just like anything that people are passionate about, whether it's sports or cars or watches, it's just a common, really cool thing. And I know these are all material things, but it creates a common thread that everyone can bond on. I know some people like to work on them, some people like to detail them, some people like to collect them, some people like to drive them. I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. I think my main reason is I love to drive them. I just love the sound, I love the smell, I love the feel of the engine. I have zero desire to own an electric car. I kind of broke my own rules by getting a 918 hybrid because it's a little bastardized, I'd say, but it's okay. Still sounds good as long as you don't just run it in electric mode. I just love the driving experience. And there's a little bit of a collector's side to it because it's fun having rare cars that are unusual and that people can enjoy. You can invest in stocks and bonds, and I do all that in safe ways, but I invest in cars. It's really fun investing in something that you're passionate about. And the fun part almost is in reading everything about them, studying them, get to meet people like whether it's, Rob Dickinson at Singer. I met some amazing people from Aston Martin. It's interesting because you know how the world is. You get fed information from what your interests are from the algorithms. I got fed a contact for Fastlane. I sent out my name, and then Chris called me and we talked for a while, and just everything about him, with people all over the country interested in cars, people that are interested in philanthropy. I mean, it just seemed like a really, really cool and unique experience. So I'm very new into Fastlane, but I'm looking forward to it. There isn't a better way that I can think of to really get to know other people that have this common interest. Life is short. You can, work hard your whole life and get to the end and wonder where it went. I'm older than probably many people that are going to see this. Follow your passion, whether it's cars or music or watches. I mean, I started my love of cars when I was a kid. It just happened. It's never too early. Even if you just get into something inexpensive in that world and get in the community, there's so many wonderful things about whatever your passion is. And life will come at you fast. And if you wait too long, you'll get to the end of your life. I like to meet new people. I like to hear about them. It's really rewarding to me to meet people from all over the world, and just don't waste a single day.